Floral stickers look complicated, but I promise you can make them yourself in just a few steps, and they'll look like you bought them from a professional print shop. Let me show you how. We're going to start by creating our artwork on the iPad in Procreate, but you could create this on a desktop as well. So the important thing here is that you're just creating black and white artwork. So that makes it a whole lot simpler. I've brought in my sticker sizing template, and this is sized for Cricut if you plan on using Cricut. If you don't want to use Cricut, you can also just cut these out by hand. You definitely don't need to use Cricut. It'll take a little bit longer if you're cutting by hand, but it is an alternative. So I've got this sizing cheat sheet. I'll leave a link right in the video description for this. It's just a JPEG. Once you save it onto your camera roll, all you have to do is hit the wrench, add category, insert a photo, and you can bring it in. I like creating 2" by 2" stickers. So what I usually do is just create a brand new layer, and then I just grab a random color and I trace this box. That way I have an idea of what a 2" by 2" looks like. And this canvas has to be sized 9" by 7" because when you bring it into Cricut's design space, if you've ever experienced this before, you know you need to shrink it down a little bit because it puts those registration marks on there. So 9 by 7 usually works really well. So I've got my box. I can turn off my template now, and now I know the size of all my stickers that I'm going to make. I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to change my color to black, so double tap where black is for true black. And I am using my bouquet maker brush set for this, but obviously you can do whatever you want here. I love making floral stickers, so this just speeds that process along. So within my bouquet maker brush set, I have hero florals, I have supporting florals, and then there's also some foliage in here as well. So I'm going to start with a flat hero flower. So I'm going to come up here and grab hero number 4 and just stamp it in with my finger, and then just bring it into the box and make sure it's about 2" here. So I can make it a little bit smaller to fit. And then what I'll do, I can move this out of the box now. I'm going to reduce the opacity, and I like redrawing this because I want things to be a little bit simpler. I have to keep in mind where the foil is going to go. So wherever you have the most black in your artwork, that's the foil portion of your sticker. So for me, I want to keep the statement really simple. I'm going to have that part knocked out, so no gold, and then the petals are going to be gold. Since it's the largest part of the artwork, I want that to really stand out and be really shiny. So I'm going to create a brand new layer. I still have my inky edge brush selected. This is also part of the bouquet maker brush set. I love this brush so much. I'm going to simplify my stamen quite a bit because once stickers get really tiny, you lose a lot of detail. So any really small details will get lost when you're creating your sticker. I'm going to reduce this opacity even more here because I'm going to take some creative liberties here. I'm going to keep the essence of this flower, but definitely simplify the stamen because it just will not show up with all of these details if I try and include all of them. I'm going to now draw in the petals, and then I can just drop black in here and fix any hairlines that might be showing up. And now I'm good to go. So this entire petal is going to be foil. And obviously you can use any subject you want. You don't have to do florals. But now I have my first sticker, and it was that quick and that easy. And I can just delete my stamp now. So this is sticker number 1. I can just turn it off, create a brand new layer. I'll do one more so you can see that process. So I'm going to go into my supporting florals, and there are several in here that work really well for this. I'm going to grab supporting number 20. So I'll just stamp that in and then shrink it down to size. There we go. Move it off to the side, reduce the opacity, create a brand new layer. And now I need to decide what areas are going to have foil and which areas are going to be open. I need to switch my brush back to my edgy ink, and my stamen on this flower is definitely going to be open. So I need to make these a little bit larger. And then my petals, just as I did with the last one, will all be gold. On this one, I want my petals to be gold again since they're the main component of it, but I don't have any separation and I don't want them to be just like this big blob of gold here. So what I need to do with these petals, because they're right next to each other, is I need to intentionally create separation between them. So it's going to change the look of the flower a little bit, but it's going to work to my advantage when these are printed out. So same thing over here. Just things to keep in mind. No matter what subject you're working with, you have to consider, is it going to look really blobby, or am I going to have to create some separation no matter what the subject is? And then the stems, I'm going to thicken these up a little bit because it's a sticker and I don't want it to be too flimsy. And then my leaves will also be gold. You can see how much quicker this whole process becomes with those stamps. I just love using them for pretty much everything. I'm going to drop my color in and then hit continue filling and then just tap around on all of these areas that we decided on. And now I can remove my stamp layer. And now I've got another sticker. So now I've got 2 stickers, and you'll just continue like this, creating all the stickers that you want. And then what you want to do is lay them all out on your 9x7 canvas. So for me, I wanted to do 2 of each sticker. So I just duplicate the ones that I have and then just move them around the canvas until I fill it up as much as I can. I want to take advantage of all of my sticker paper. So I laid them all out. And I'm going to jump ahead and show you what that looks like. So here they are all laid out following the exact same process. I put them all in their own group right here. And now that I have them all grouped up, I need to create a layer that has all of them on it. That's a flattened layer. So I'm going to turn off the background color because the background has to be transparent for this part. And if you caught my tutorial on transparent watercolor stickers, I'll leave a link on screen and in the video description. Then you're already familiar with this process, but just to reinforce it, I'm going to go through the steps again right here. So what you want to do is have all of your layers turned on for your artwork. Turn off your background color so you can see I've got the grid in the background, which means it's transparent. I'm going to 3-finger swipe and choose copy all, 3-finger swipe again, and choose paste. You'll get a brand new layer up at the top. I can now turn off that group. I have this layer up at the top that is a flattened layer that has all the artwork on it. If I turn on my background color again, you can see all of my artwork is still there. Now we need to create a duplicate of this layer, but it needs to be white. So in order to do that, I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail of this one up at the top that we just made. So tap on that thumbnail and choose select. This process won't work if you have color fill selected down here. So with it selected, now I'm going to change my color to white. So double tap where white is, come back to my layers, create a brand new layer, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose fill layer. So we took a selection of all of our artwork, we chose white and we filled that selection with white. So we have our artwork, only it's white now, so you can't really see it. We need to put this behind our black layer because we're creating the die cut. So we're going to let Cricut know where to cut around the sticker so it's not super tight right next to the artwork, which can look kind of funky. So we want it to look nice and clean and professional. So let's drag this white layer underneath the black layer. It can help right here if you turn your background color off. That way we can see when the white starts appearing. We need to apply a Gaussian blur now to this. So in order to do that, come up here to your magic wand, choose Gaussian blur. I'm going to tap on my screen and drag, and I'm looking up here and I like mine around 5%. So I'm going to come to 5%. I'm going to deselect. Now I'm going to hit my selection icon up here at the top. And down here, make sure once again that you do not have color fill selected, but you want to change this so it's automatic. And then tap anywhere on the screen where you don't have any artwork. So I'm going to tap right here and you're going to see blue. And you can also drag the selection up or down. Up here is your selection threshold. I don't like mine at 0 because I've noticed that I get pixelated edges if I do that. And if I come up just a little bit, it softens those edges. And with Cricut, if it's too pixelated, it's going to try and cut every little pixel around it. It'll take forever. Ask me how I know that. If we just increase it a little bit, like I'm at 0.4%, it makes it so much smoother. So just a pro tip right there, just increase it a little bit. So I'm at 0.4%. I'm just going to leave it. And before you leave this screen, you want to make sure you hit invert. So tap invert at the bottom and then come to your layer where your white is, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose fill layer. And now you have a universal thickness around all of your artwork. You didn't have to do it manually and it's nice and clean. You can come in here if you want, if you see some edges that are just a little too pixelated. These ones should actually be fine. But if you're concerned at all, just head down, and this is a default brush. In the calligraphy category, your monoline brush, that works really well for cleaning up these edges. So you can just come along them if you're concerned at all and just smooth them out. Honestly, like I said, these really wouldn't be a problem at all. They look worse than they are. They just look bad because you're super zoomed up on them. But if you want to soften any of them, that's a really quick and easy way to soften any areas that look just a little like this part would bother me a little bit. It's a little too jagged. You know, most of the work is already done for you at this point. So now what we need to do is move this onto our computer. We're going to hop into Cricut's design space and we're going to print this out using a laser printer, and I'll get to why once we get there. So first things first, let's export this as a PNG. So come up to your wrench, go up to the share category, choose PNG, and I'm going to airdrop mine to my desktop. You could also just save this on your iPad if you wanted to and use the Cricut Design Space app for iPad. I personally just like using it on my desktop, so that's why I'm sending this over to my desktop. So I will meet you on the computer. We are in Cricut's design space, so I'm going to hit upload on the left and then choose upload image, drag in the PNG that we created in Procreate, and then hit continue, apply and continue, choose flat graphic, continue again, and then upload. Once it's brought in, we need to resize this. So up at the top, I'm just putting in 9 inches and it will resize automatically. I'm just toggling it up to the corner and then hitting make. Once you're on this screen, we're going to hit continue and then choose send to printer. When this print dialog box shows up, make sure the correct printer is selected. You'll want a laser printer for this. Toggle off bleed and use system dialog. When you use your system dialog, it looks like something's happening, but actually it's not. You have to drag your window down and that print dialog box is hiding behind it. So just double check that all of the settings look correct here. The correct printer is selected and then hit print. As an FYI, this is the vinyl sticker paper I'm using. You have to make sure that it works with laser printers because we're using toner for this. It's the secret sauce behind being able to print foil at home. So this gorgeous black toner print is exactly what you want, and you can see we've got the registration marks there. Next, we need to turn on our laminator. I use this Mink laminator and I use a setting of 4. So while that's heating up, we need to prep our print with our foil. So back over at my craft desk, I've got the print that came out of the laser printer, the laminating envelope that we will put everything in when it goes through the laminator. I've got a plain sheet of white copy paper, and then I've got foil that adheres to toner. And this is also the Mink brand. This isn't sponsored by them or anything. I just really love their foils. They've always worked really well for me, and they've got a ton of great options. So when you're putting this foil down, you want to make sure that it does not cover the registration marks. You want it within them. So I just come down a little bit and I'm kind of eyeing where I need to cut right here and trimming it down to fit within those registration marks. So I'm doing one quick check, making sure everything fits. I definitely cut it a little bit wonky, so I need to fix this a little bit. I am making sure that all of the pieces of the design are covered by the foil. If anything isn't covered by foil, it will not come out with foil. So I'm just going to trim off these corners, and then the next thing we need to do is grab that plain white sheet of copy paper and we're going to cover these registration marks, because if we don't, they will stick to the laminating envelope when it goes through and heat is applied to it. So this protects our laminating envelope. It's a really easy fix for that. So I'm putting it inside this envelope and then running it through the laminator. So this is where the magic happens, where the foil adheres to any black toner that was on our print. So let's take it out of the envelope, peel up this white sheet of paper, and you can see it does get a little bit of residue from those registration marks, but Cricut will still be able to pick those up. And now that satisfying peel of that beautiful shiny foil, and look how gorgeous that looks. It came out so good. And this is on sticker paper. It's not even on like regular cardstock or anything. When you place this on the Cricut mat, just make sure that little triangle is in the upper left corner. And then I use these self-adhesive laminating sheets. This just makes your stickers waterproof, and it adds a little bit of tactile value to them because they are going to be thicker with it. It's totally optional though. So right now I'm just lining it up, and you want to make sure that this covers the registration marks but stays within the paper. So I'm just seeing how many squares I need to cut off and trimming it down. I'm going to line it up, and you can use whatever you want as a brayer for this. I've got a paint scraper that I picked up at Home Depot. So all you need to do is peel off this strip at the top and then line it up. You get one shot at this because this stuff is super sticky. So I'm just lining it up and sticking it down. I've done so many of these, and the best method I've found for this is to lift it up and then start peeling the backing, and then grab your brayer, in my case this paint scraper, and push on the opposite end while peeling that backing off of the laminating sheet. And then you just want to smooth it out if there's any air bubbles that happen during that process. This has always worked really cleanly for me. It's a little bit awkward, but once you get used to it, it works really well. Back in Design Space, I always use the heavy cardstock, which is for 100-pound paper, because we've got that laminating sheet. It's definitely a little bit thicker, so it's right in the cardstock section. And then I always make sure I choose more for the pressure. And now we're ready to run it through the Cricut and see it get cut out. So this is where that die cut that we created in Procreate comes in, because even though we couldn't see it, it's part of the file information. So Cricut knows where to cut, and it's along the outer edge of that white die cut. So this is going to give us that nice consistency around all of our stickers. And peeling this off, this has worked the best for me, peeling the extra paper off first. So I just kind of put my fingers on top and hold down the stickers, and then I peel the excess paper off, and then I'm able to peel up each sticker one by one, and they just look so pretty. They're so shiny. This foil is so high quality, and even though I've tried a bunch of different ones, I'm honestly partial to the gold. It's definitely my favorite. And here's a nice final look at all those super shiny gold foil floral stickers all together. And I couldn't end this video without sticking one of them to something, so I just grabbed that paint scraper, and now whenever I use this, it'll have a little extra bling. As always, links to everything mentioned in this video are right in the video description, as well as a link to my stationery design and Procreate course, where we go more in depth with sticker making, print on demand, and monetizing custom stationery designs, all in Procreate. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.